Political ads are inescapable at this time of the year, whether you're online or you're watching TV or you're driving down the freeway in your car. And there is an awful lot of confusion and misunderstanding about the rules that govern those commercials. So here to help us clear it all up is David Oxenford, an expert in broadcast and digital media law and a partner at Wilkinson, Barker and Nauer. Thank you so much for joining me on this topic.
Well, thank you for having me.
All right, so let's dig into the reality about campaign ads and how political advertising works. So one of the issues that some of my colleagues in media have had to deal with is our voices and our faces from actual newscasts based on facts being plopped right into the middle of a political ad, out of context and meant to sway voters one way or another. Those ads are. So this is all done without our permission, but we get backlash. Some viewers think otherwise, or worse, that we are choosing sides by being in this ad. So is this allowed and why?
There's actually two reasons why political ads can use your images. One is a copyright issue. You get protection for material that you produce on this TV station through copyright laws, but the copyright laws allow something called fair use, where there's a socially advantageous use of a copyrighted material for commentary, criticism, or for political speech. If just a small amount is used and it's used for one of these socially acceptable uses, you can use it without getting permission of the copyright holder. That's why they can use these ads. Also, in the political broadcasting world, under the statute passed by Congress, broadcast stations cannot censor the ads that come from candidates, from legally qualified candidates who are running for political office. So a political candidate can use a snippet from your newscast, or they can lie about their opposing candidate, and a TV station can't do anything about that ad.
So broadcasters, we can't choose what to air and what not to air. So in terms of the rules, not only for the broadcasters, but what about the candidates? Is there any rules they have to follow?
Well, generally, not really. I mean, they can't defame somebody else. They can't lie about them in a way that would be injurious to them. But really, if you parse a lot of these political ads, they're not lies. They stretch the truth sometimes. They put it out of context, but they're not lies. So it's very difficult to defame, to be liable for lying about an opposing political candidate under a number of Supreme Court rulings. So political candidates can do that. Now, one correction, though, to what you said, TV stations can't censor ads from political candidates, but a lot of the ads that you see on TV stations are ones that come from non-candidate groups, from PACs, from political parties, from other action committees that are buying time in political advertising races. Technically, a TV station can censor those, but most TV stations are very reluctant to do so unless they could potentially be defamatory, potentially impose some sorts of liability by really lying about an opposing candidate. And that, again, doesn't usually happen. They had stretched the truth. They put it in bad context to get the message out that they want to get out, but it's not generally really lying about an opposing candidate.
So let's talk a little bit more about those political action committees that you reference. Of course, these groups spend millions of dollars during election cycles for and against candidates and proposals. It's important to note that those images of those people, sometimes they have no say in what that content is, whether it's in favor of them or against.
Generally, that's correct, especially under federal law. Those PACs and other independent committees are not allowed to coordinate what they're saying with the candidates. So, yeah, sometimes even the candidates that they're purportedly speaking on behalf of, or whose opponent they're attacking, have no idea what these groups are coming out to say.
So we talked about broadcast media, meaning TV, radio, but then there's also social media. Is that fair game to put on whatever you want?
Social media, just like any other media, is subject to defamation law. There is no FCC regulation, though, so that even candidate ads that appear on social or digital media could theoretically be subject to defamation, although there are some other laws that, to some extent, insulate some of the platforms on which the stuff is posted. So Facebook itself probably isn't liable for most of the political ads that are posted on it, or YouTube, or any of the other big platforms. But again, the candidates who post it, or the political action committees, or the political parties, they can be liable if they really are lying about an opposing candidate. And once every now and then, you see some lawsuits flying about claims that are made in political ads. We saw Donald Trump sue a TV station in Wisconsin two years ago during the presidential election for a claim that he claimed was false. There have been claims by senators and other candidates against TV stations or advertisers for claims that have been made in these third-party ads for attacking them.
Well, David, your perspective has been fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us here in Flashpoint. We appreciate it.